one of the last questions I have for you, you've been really open through your time in California and coming back here about mental health.
Mhm.
Why is mental health so important to you?
I think I'm one of those people that's kind of always struggled with anxiety, and I don't necessarily know that I always knew what it was. And in my family, typical Southern Christian family, it's always a taboo topic. And my grandma had some mental health issues, and I think that kind of created some stigma and just like kind of hurt in my family. And so people never wanted to talk about it. And I think maybe my family didn't want to always say, "Oh, I think Melinda has anxiety and I think Melinda has depression." And so when I kind of always felt it. And then when I was 19, I was a freshman in college. Um, College is hard anyway. And it's the first time like I was living in an off-campus apartment, first time I've ever been away from my family like that. And I had just like some weird bullying stuff going on and just like weird normal life stuff. And I just kind of broke down and I had this crazy rash that I could not get rid of. And we did all these tests. And then finally the doctor was like, I think it's like anxiety. Like, I think it's just something like that. And I was like, okay, that's what this is. And so I went on medicine for a little bit, but again, the stigma around that, like I was kind of embarrassed about it. My mom told me not to tell anybody. She was like, let's just do the one prescription and let's not do it anymore, kind of thing. She's like, I don't like how you are on this. Let's just not do it.
Yeah.
And so I went off of it. And then from there, it was like, okay, well, if this is a thing I have, I need to figure out what
Right.
triggers it, what makes it better, all of that stuff. And it took me a long time. And when I was in LA, everything kind of got heightened. I mean, first off, you're overstimulated all the time. You're working in really high stress environments. You're alone, completely alone on the other side of the world. You're poor as shit. Like it's just all these things are
Right.
stacked against you. And I would just have breakdowns all the time. And just I was trying so hard to be okay. But like and like I always tell people this, like I would just lay in my closet on the floor with no lights on and just sob and sob and sob and be like, can I just die? Because I'm sick of this. And like I was never suicidal, but I did have those thoughts of like, okay, well, I just don't want to be alive because I don't see the point anymore because this sucks, and I just didn't feel for a long time feel like there was a light at the end of the tunnel. But I kind of started realizing like, okay, what's triggering it? Oh, I drank too much caffeine today. Or okay, drinking alcohol kind of
Right.
makes me feel like shit. I shouldn't do that. And oh, working out in the morning is going to make me feel good. I'm going to have endorphins and I can ride that high the rest of the
Yeah.
day and I'm not going to spiral as much at work. Or maybe I should actually eat. There's a lot of things
Yeah.
that sound like normal, but like when you're just hustling and just trying to do the best you can, you forget. And so I started implementing like stress walks into my day. And so, which my therapist at like a while, one of my therapists a long time ago said, like, don't call them stress walks, call them something a little more positive.
Yeah.
So I would just go like every hour on the hour, I would get up and I'd walk around the block and then I'd come back and sit at my desk and then and work. And then, yeah, I got a therapist that I absolutely loved. And then when I moved back, I found another therapist and, realized maybe it wasn't working. So I found another one.
Yeah.
So I think that's always really important sorry, I'm just like going off on this
No,
right
you're good.
now.
You're
But
good. Go ahead.
I think it's really important. They always say like date your therapist. Like you got
Yeah.
to figure out who works for you
Yeah.
because everybody doesn't, and that's okay. Um, so yeah, I mean, I then and also I realized like right before I left LA, like I was burned out. I'd changed jobs. I was at my dream firm doing my dream role. Like everything was supposed to be great, but it was a really, really toxic environment for multiple reasons. And I just kind of hit a wall and I wasn't sleeping. I was like working in the office like 14-hour days to the point where security would have to come and kick me out and tell me to go home. And like one day, it was like a Monday holiday. I was in the car wash with my work laptop in my lap working while my car was getting washed in like a 7-minute car wash. I'm like, this is stupid. Couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. When I did eat, I
Right.
was throwing up. I was sick.
Yeah.
Just body was falling apart. And I was like, this is burnout. This is burnout. And the same thing happened to me at my last job. And that's kind of when I realized, like, okay, I got to get a therapist. I got to get back on that.
Yeah.
And for right now, I need medication.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be forever, but it can just be for right now. And so I got on medication and worked with my doctor, and I'm like, let's make a plan so I'm not on this forever. Figured out supplements that really worked for me, and kind of got back eating clean, because for me that just helps a lot. And lowering caffeine intake, and maybe not drinking wine anymore. And just figuring it all out. But I always want to be open and honest about where I'm at, because so many people aren't. And I know when I'm open and honest about it, it helps a lot of other people. So I'm very lucky that I haven't felt really terrible in a really long time, but I can also pick up on when things are starting to go south, and I'm like, okay, let's figure it out.
I fall into the anxiety and depression as well. And I kind of had to figure out, like, I'd be in the middle of the night, like, elephant sitting on my chest. Why is the elephant sitting on my chest? Why do I have these feelings? And so I've kind of done the same thing, where I'm like, okay, I need to break this down and figure out A, why it's happening, and B, and like, what are some of the things that can help me? Because I grew up in a Southern family that sometimes saying you have anxiety and depression is like it's saying you're getting a divorce, and almost in a way.
And they're like, take it to God. Well, okay, that's fine, but that's not going to help the literal chemical imbalance in my brain right
now. So so I've always been very open with, I need you to leave me alone today, because I don't feel right, and I need to figure it out and just like feel better. So I've like, and it's funny because as soon as I kind of came out and said it, my family was like, oh, well, I have anxiety and depression too, or I have anxiety. And I'm like, why are we keeping this quiet? Like, we can have these conversations and help each other when we need help. So I think it's always comforting to hear from other people as well, outside of like, hey, I get you.